You have 14 days. This is not a metaphor. It is a literal, mathematical countdown. The Strait of Hormuz is de facto closed. Tanker traffic has halted. Any vessel attempting to pass is being targeted. Real-time data shows more than 10 ships are already hit or burning. The market is reacting. Brent crude has surged, with projections showing prices will breach $100 per barrel. 1/5 of the world's oil supply is now physically cut off. Official narratives will be noise. This is your cognitive framework for understanding the true mechanism. To understand this countdown, we have to go back to the single event that lit the fuse. The first strike. The clock started on February 28, 2026. Manama, Bahrain. Before dawn, Iranian ballistic missiles and drones found their target. This wasn't a random patrol boat. This was the headquarters for United States Naval Forces Central Command, 5th Fleet. Across the city, air raid sirens split the air. Smoke plumes were visible, rising from the nerve center of American power in the Gulf. Pay close attention. The target was not chosen for spectacle. It was chosen for physics. The 5th Fleet's area of responsibility covers 2.5 million square miles. The entire Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, the Arabian Sea. By striking the command hub, Iran didn't just win a battle, it executed a strategic decapitation. It severed the head from the body, paralyzing US coordination across the entire region. This level of precision should not have been a surprise. It was a direct echo of the 2019 strike on Abqaiq and Kuwait in Saudi Arabia. An attack that took 5.7 million barrels of oil per day offline. 5% of the entire global supply neutralized in hours. This wasn't a minor skirmish or a desperate gamble. This was a calculated demonstration of capability. A declaration that the conflict had moved beyond words. But the world's media, and even military analysts, made a critical error in their assessment. They saw this as the first shot in a conventional war. A fight over territory and military dominance. They were wrong. This was never a military campaign. It was the public-facing component of a surgical economic demolition. And the real war, the one that truly matters to your wallet and your stability, was about to begin. And it began with cold, mechanical precision. Following the decapitation strike on the 5th Fleet, Iran's true strategy became brutally clear. This was never a military campaign to win territory. An internal assessment from the Times stated it best. This was a surgical, economic demolition. The demolition plan widened methodically. The targets were not military, they were the economic arteries of America's allies. Pay close attention to the sequence. First, fires at Saudi Arabia's Ras Tanura refinery, one of the largest export facilities on the planet. Then, a fuel terminal blaze in Abu Dhabi's Musafah district. Finally, a series of crippling cyber and physical attacks forced complete operational halts at Qatar's massive LNG facilities in Ras Laffan and Mesaieed. This wasn't random violence. It was a sequence takedown of the Gulf's entire energy export apparatus. With every strike on a new terminal, another day on the 14-day clock was sealed. The physical trap was closing. The final objective was to sever the Strait of Hormuz. This is not a minor shipping lane. It is the planet's primary oil artery. In 2025, 20.3 million barrels per day flowed through this choke point. That's 21% of all global petroleum consumption. By striking these key nodes, Iran created a de facto blockade. Tanker traffic slowed to a trickle. Then it stopped. Hundreds of ships were stranded, forming a steel graveyard outside the strait. The blockade was complete. The world's media saw a geopolitical crisis. They missed the real mechanism. They missed the physics of the situation. Because when you stop the flow of 21 million barrels of oil out of a region, you create a very different problem for the oil still flowing in. The question was no longer if the global economy would shut down, it was when. And the answer was not in politics. It was in the simple, brutal physics of a storage tank. This is the tank top problem. It is not a metaphor. It is a physical limit with a mathematical deadline. Pay close attention. Under normal conditions, crude oil flows from the wellhead, through pipelines, to coastal terminals, where it is loaded onto supertankers for export. The system is designed for constant motion. But the Strait of Hormuz is now a kill zone. The tankers cannot leave, so the oil being produced has nowhere to go. It is being diverted into the only available buffer: onshore storage tanks. Picture a bathtub with the tap on full blast, but the drain is completely plugged. The water level rises, relentlessly, unavoidably. Now, the data. The combined onshore crude storage for the 7 major Gulf producers is 343 million barrels. At current production rates with no export outlet, this provides a hard ceiling of approximately 22 days of buffer. For some, the clock is much shorter. Kuwait, the canary in the coal mine, will exhaust its storage capacity in approximately 14 to 18 days. This is not theory. The effect is already active. Iraq has already been forced to curtail production by 1.5 million barrels per day because its tanks are approaching their limits. Once a tank is full, once it hits the tank top, the pressure backs up the entire system. The pipelines fill. The pumps strain. The final stage is not a choice. Producers must physically shut down the wells. This is the demolition timeline your portfolio cannot ignore. It is pure physics. When the clock hits zero, nearly 1/5 of the world's oil supply stops cold. It is not a squeeze. It is a termination. So, that is the mechanism. Now, here is how it detonates inside your wallet. This is not a distant geopolitical event. This is a direct, calculated demolition of your household's purchasing power. Let's quantify the initial blast. With oil already up $20 since this operation began, that translates to a direct hit of $800 to $1,000 on your annual budget. Now, standard US household budget models show that for every $10 increase per barrel, the average family absorbs $400 to $500 in costs. Pay close attention. That figure is not just what you pay at the pump. That estimate already includes the systemic damage because oil is not simply fuel. It is the base input for every cost of goods calculation in the physical economy. It is embedded in everything. Consider your morning coffee. The beans were shipped on a vessel burning more expensive bunker fuel. The milk comes from a farm whose fertilizer and transport costs just escalated. The cup and lid are petroleum-based plastic. This is the mechanism. Every single one of these upstream inputs is being repriced upward, turning a $4 purchase into a $5 habit. Do not mistake this for random inflation. This is a transfer of wealth, engineered by capital decisions and choke points half a world away. This energy shockwave is not a line item. It's a structural repricing of your entire budget. We need to build a clear operating picture of how this is unfolding. Report your field intel in the comments below. What are the most unexpected price escalations you are seeing? Your real-time data is critical for tracking the true velocity of this economic demolition. We are at day 10 of the 14-day timeline. The price of your groceries is already recalibrating to the wholesale commodity spikes we tracked last week. This is not a future problem. It is happening now. And for those of you holding on to the belief that this will be a swift surgical conflict with a quick recovery. I have a new piece of intelligence for you. The official war game scenarios, the ones circulating at the highest levels, are no longer modeling a short-term outcome. They are now operating on the assumption of a prolonged grinding war of economic attrition. The pain you are about to feel is not temporary. It is the new baseline. That new baseline I mentioned? It just received its official timeline. Any hope for a swift resolution has been vaporized. We were sold a fantasy. Remember the footage? President Trump, confident at the podium, promising a clean surgical operation of 4 weeks or less. The White House, the Pentagon, the media, they peddled that tidy schedule to the markets and to our allies, expecting them to underwrite the risk on a false prospectus. Now picture a different room, a sterile Pentagon briefing. No presidential bravado, just a grim-faced general. On the screen behind him is a timeline projection, stretching not for weeks, but for months. CENTCOM is now on record, requesting resources for at least 100 days of sustained combat operations. And their internal logistical planning, it now extends through September 2026. Pay close attention. This isn't just a math error, it is a direct copy of a recent strategic catastrophe. We saw this exact mechanism in Ukraine. Russia's 3-day operation to seize Kyiv mutated into a multi-year war of attrition that has drained its treasury and bled its manpower. This is the same fatal calculus, a short war fantasy that always guarantees a long grinding demolition. And now, the real accounting begins. The markets are awake, the allies are moving. They are pricing in the real war, not the public relations campaign. Brent crude is blowing past its previous highs. Defense stocks are hitting new records, and the cost to insure a single tanker in the Persian Gulf is going vertical. The schedule has been delivered, but this strategic blunder creates an even more dangerous problem. A 100-day war with this newly revealed cost curve is not politically survivable for the limited objective of containing Iran. The only way to justify this brutal extended timeline is to change the objective itself. The mission just escalated. It's no longer about the strait. It's about regime change in Tehran. And by making that move, the US has just backed Iran into a corner from which there is only one exit. When you force a strategic adversary into a terminal logic trap, you don't get negotiation. You get a kinetic breakout. The objective for Washington was now explicit: regime change in Tehran. This was no longer about containment. It was decapitation. By making survival the only metric on the board, they forced Iran to escalate past conventional military targets, past economic choke points, and toward the one asset class that guarantees mutual deterrence. Iran's response was not another strike on an oil field or a naval asset. This was the activation of a final deterrent, a threat designed to be so absolute, so irreversible, that it would force every party to freeze. The logic was simple. If our regime is terminal, so is regional stability. On March 5, 2026, the ISNA news agency broadcast the communiqué from senior military officials. It was not a veiled warning. It was a kill switch drawn in plutonium. Quote, Iran will target the Israeli nuclear site of Dimona if Israel and the US seek regime change in the Islamic Republic. Pay close attention. This was not a bluff. Technical assessments from a consortium of Western defense intelligence agencies, cross-referencing telemetry from Iran's prior precision strikes with fresh satellite observation, concluded the strike capability was not just credible, it was probable. And the target, the Shimon Peres Negev Nuclear Research Center, is not merely a power plant. It is the physical core of Israel's entire strategic deterrent, the bedrock of its national security doctrine. A successful strike is not a conventional military event. Look at the map. The impact point is Dimona, but the damage is radiological. Prevailing winds would carry the plume across the Negev, blanketing Israeli air bases. The fallout radius pushes directly into Jordan, threatening its largest port at Aqaba, and drifts north into the West Bank, poisoning Hebron. The entire conflict was instantly recalibrated. The board was wiped clean. The risk was no longer a global depression triggered by an oil shock. It was the permanent contamination of the Levant, mass radiological casualties, and a tripwire for a retaliatory exchange from which there is no de-escalation, and the acute financial pain, the systemic paralysis that is about to cascade through every Western household. That pain is not new. It's an engineered echo, a precise replay of the same inflationary energy shock that decades ago cost an American president his entire political future. We are about to watch history repeat, not as tragedy, but as a meticulously planned demolition. In the shadow of the Dimona threat, the geopolitical landscape fractured. For America's Gulf allies, the truth became undeniable. Their gleaming cities, their financial hubs, were now designated targets in a war they did not start. The implicit contract they signed with American power, the promise of stability for access, was now visibly, painfully, publicly broken. But the true cost of these grand strategies is never accounted for in state budgets. It is paid at the human level. Pay close attention. Imagine a high-rise apartment in Dubai, 2 a.m. The quiet is shattered by the piercing wail of an air raid siren. In the darkness, a phone screen flashes to life, its red glow illuminating a single, stark alert. These are the migrant workers from Pakistan, Bangladesh, the Philippines. They came here for the promise of a place so safe a woman could walk alone at 4 a.m. without fear. Now they lie awake staring at their phones, that stable world gone, wondering if it's time to flee. This is not a new mechanism. It is a historical echo. The year is 1979. The Iranian Revolution severs global oil supply. And the shockwave hits America not as a headline, but as a physical reality. You can see it in the archival footage. The miles-long lines of cars snaking from every gas station, the angry faces of drivers, the handwritten no gas signs hanging on the pumps. Stagflation hammered family budgets. President Jimmy Carter watched his country descend into chaos, and in his famous Crisis of Confidence address, he told the nation, "This intolerable dependence on foreign oil threatens our economic independence and the very security of our nation." His presidency did not survive the economic fallout. It was a clear lesson in how a supply shock engineered in the Middle East forces ordinary people to bear the entire cost. The architecture of the crisis showed that a distant conflict could shatter the lives of ordinary people, from a construction worker in Dubai to a family man in Ohio. The pain is the same, only the year has changed. This entire narrative, the 14-day storage clock, the pivot to regime change, the Dimona red line, was the necessary intelligence brief. It established the what and the why. Now we move to the what's next. The most critical part of this transmission, the operational playbook. This economic demolition has a timeline. The engineered stagflation follows a predictable path. There is a framework to navigate it. The analysis is complete. The strategy briefing begins now. The economic demolition timeline unfolds over a 6 to 18-month period. It is a predictable sequence of engineered stagflation. This is the framework. Pay close attention. This is where mainstream analysis stops, and our work begins. They see the initial price spike and think they understand the threat. They don't. The real demolition of your portfolio happens in the second and third order effects. If you miss the mechanics of this next part, the timeline is useless to you. Phase 1. The initial supply shock. This covers the first 30 days. A sustained Hormuz disruption drives crude oil to between $120 and $200 per barrel. This immediately adds 2 to 4 percentage points to global inflation. The probability of a declared recession exceeds 75%. This is the headline event, the part everyone sees. Phase 2. Second order inflation. This occurs from months 2 through 6. The initial energy price spike now cascades through the global logistics network. Shipping, insurance, and freight costs reprice upwards. Input costs for all manufacturing amplify. This is not just about fuel for your car, it's about the cost of every component in every product that crosses an ocean. Phase 3. The central bank response. Months 6 through 12. Faced with sustained systemic inflation, central banks are forced to tighten. They will raise interest rates into a slowing economy. Credit becomes expensive and scarce. Capital for business expansion evaporates. This is the stagflationary lock-in. Phase 4. Real asset erosion. This is the endgame from month 12 to 18. The combination of high inflation and high interest rates systematically erodes the real value of your hard assets. The cash flows supporting their valuations are choked off by the credit squeeze, while inflation eats away at their nominal worth. What makes this different from past crises are the non-linear multiplier effects. Today's hyper-connected just-in-time supply networks have no buffer. This isn't like a pipe with one leak, where the water loss is predictable. It's like pulling a single thread on a spider web. The entire structure warps in unpredictable ways, and the tension multiplies across the whole network. A 20% rise in energy costs does not translate to a simple 20% hit. For import-reliant businesses, it means a 40 to 60% collapse in operating margins. That is the non-linear risk linear models fail to see. This framework allows you to see beyond the headlines. It gives you a clear timeline to stress test your own assets against these cascading second-order effects. Understanding this timeline is the first step to protecting yourself. If this framework is valuable to you, subscribe for more analysis that cuts through the noise.